Great.
Okay, perfect. Mark, yeah, just like pretty close to your it's a direction. It's like an instrument mic. We'll cut all this out.
Well, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
is this like the hut 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 the Russian
Oh yeah, the English guys with the big hats,
English?
the furry
The
hats.
beef eaters.
no.
Beef eaters. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I mean no.
Oh, that's the Ruskie hat.
Yeah.
The, like Russian military.
yeah,
hat.
yeah.
Like that. There's that.
But I
There's
guess
that.
what you said is true too, or definitely appropriate. As
Ruskie fur. Yeah.
well. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. That's the Russian mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're hoping you will take
You know,
the
my-
Russian communist.
My
Yeah.
my son's best friend, my oldest son's best friend is big fan of communism in Soviet Russia, and
Really?
yeah,
How old?
and literally wears sorry, say the word again. What these things?
I don't know what they're called.
It's a
Ruskie hat. Ruskie hat. That can't be a technical
I
term.
mean, it's Ruskie,
Scroll
but
down.
I don't
Scroll
know
down
what
to the.
the...
All right. Yeah. Scroll down to that one. Let's see.
They're
what-
trappers. Trapper hat.
the one on the luxury divas Ruskie.
Divas.
Luxury divas Ruskie. Faux
Whatever.
fur.
But he wears it with like on the front, literally sickle and hammer. And
how old is he?
he's now 13.
Yeah.
So and they've been best friends for a couple years. So he's
That's
been-
about the age where communism makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You go through your 13-year-old communist phase. You go to college. You go through your Ayn Rand
Yes.
capitalist phase.
cyber hat. That's what he wears every day.
Yeah.
That
How
fucking
much
piece
is that?
of
Click
shit.
on that Amazon one. Right. Yeah. Let's see how much.
Soviet Army fur.
What do we?
Yeah, that's what the
What are we
Soviet
talking
Army
price-wise?
does. You can't question that the
Guys,
Soviet Army kills a
Okay,
lot
but, like,
of
here,
beavers.
listen-
$15.
Listen to the ridiculous's of this. So, like, even before I got red pilled or whatever the fuck you want to call it, I was like, I've always known,
got
like,
roofied.
there is some massive problems with communism and with Marxism. And my husband, who's always been like just very libertarian and America, and we both were on the same page when we'd kind of like, kind of give him shit about it. Be like, you want to explain your fucking hat? Like, what's going on there, bud? And he'd say things like, well, Lenin wasn't so bad.
That's how he starts.
That's the,
Yeah.
what a
That was how he
weird way to
started. Well, Lenin wasn't so bad. And then
Listen, if
outside
you
of
read
us, like, just
Kropotkin,
having,
it's-
like,
he didn't
hyperventilating
talk about
laughter.
genocide that much.
Right.
well, Lenin was
And
the
then,
guy
like,
that.
and then we took him to Woody's Pizza with us once, and he was like, I had ordered like extra cherries for them to have in their cherry cokes, or I ordered extra cherries for his friend to have them in his cherry cokes, and my son was like, blank name, can I have one of your cherries? And he was like, no, and I was like, oh no, comrade, you can have however many you want.
Yeah.
And like push them towards him, and he was just like, and I'm like, this is your worldview, man. Share your cherries.
Well, actually, this guy who owns this brewery we were at last night is a communist, or I don't know if he's really a communist, but he says he's believes in communism, and he says that he's trying to run his brewery accordingly and just gives away free beer and everything. I think they filed bankruptcy or something because
What the hell you say?
are they making any money? They can't be making any money, but he just gives beer away, and he's trying to live by his principles. People come in, he just give them beer.
And I think that's sweet when you try to live by your principles like that and you don't understand the way that the world works or humanity. But anyway,
So this is what I was. The podcast that I was with Red Scare. These like two girls are honestly like making an argument that I've made several times that the problem that most of the time leftists what they're mad about is aesthetic. Like they're not aesthetic. They're not actually interested in the principles of like an ideology. And this is why like you meet so many communists that seem to hate working class people, is because they're not living the right. Like they're just they won't act right. They're poor people like McDonald's, and that's not good, you know. And this is like Leninist, like Trotsky shit. Like, this is why they're puritanical, and this is why they end up being so violent. And at the end of the day, is they're trying to. They're not so much interested in an economic model. That's why, like, you know, like Marx's economics, they fall apart like pretty quickly. But that's not what they're in it for. What they're in it for is like we could all act in a way that's aesthetically pleasing to me. And like, because like I grew up in Wyoming in a coal town, and
I'm so sorry.
oh no, it's great. It's fine. Like
I'm just fucking with you, but
they're not bad. But that's the thing is that like but they are trash. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the like modern American leftists, they have not made the connection yet that the people that they're defending, the quote unquote working class, they also hate aesthetically. So
welcome to our comedy podcast, Jodee. We are currently talking about Marxist aesthetics. This is what we tend to get into. Within 5 minutes of joking around, we always come back to Marxist aesthetics.
I just before we go any
and the
further,
Hegelian dialectic. That's what we try to talk about.
Adorno, all this shit, man. This is all.
While we're talking about coal miner towns, have you read George Orwell's Road to Wygon Pier?
No, I haven't. No.
So it's like basically the book that it's one of his only nonfiction books that sort of outlines his transition from being like a hardcore socialist to like maybe that's not the way that the world should work.
Yeah.
I think that is how Orwell spoke.
Yeah.
That's why he had to be a writer. His voice was so tinny like that. He was like, I better write this shit down because people are not listening to me at the bar.
No, but it's like, you know,
whatever the pigs take over, the bears won't. Some people are more equal than others.
2 legs bad. No, so he basically he was a huge part of so many socialist groups because he was exactly that sort of fuzzy-haired person that you guys were talking about earlier. Like, you know, you come from this certain class, and we were talking in the kitchen earlier. But he just came to sort of these realizations that it wasn't, to paraphrase, it wasn't so much that the people that wanted to help them, it wasn't so much that they cared about them, it was that they just hated the blank, you know, or like they didn't care so much about the poor, they just hated the rich. And that is like, and that might be at the core of why every communist and socialist civilization has crumbled into decay throughout the history of
it's built on hatred. It will eventually eat itself.
Exactly.
And that's what the American left is doing right now.
They don't realize it, and they say like, "Shut up! It doesn't matter." Like, and I'm like, "Okay, BLM, do you even know what they're about?" And they're like, "Racist! Shut up! Doesn't matter. Get rid of Trump." And it's like, okay, maybe just calm down and.
No, they know what BLM is about. They're raising money for Joe Biden. They have to do something.
Yeah, just gotta get them out there.
Gotta do something.
Gotta have a walking
this
corpse.
Is what. Just to quickly, I'll brush over it very quickly. But this is what Nietzsche had this whole thing, like the ressentiment, which was like resentment, like that they don't
in French.
But yeah,
ressentiment.
Ressentiment.
But it, like
he had this whole thing about
yeah.
The French word for resentment. He had this big thing where he would pronounce words in French.
All right, listen. All right, I was getting a little pretentious there. I apologize. I'm putting all my cards on the table here, guys. I'm a pretentious.
Listen, you get 3 Nietzsche references this podcast, okay? So if you're going to use one right now,
that's 1 down, 1 in the can.
Okay,
moving on. But yeah, no, they like that's what I'm saying is like they because this is the argument that they were making on Red Scare is that in terms of the class system, Donald Trump is upper class, obviously. But in terms of culture, he acts very lower class. He has ill-fitting suits. He brings fast food into the White House. And that's really what they hate about him, is that they're like, how dare you
get the black
how dare
vote.
You adopt this aesthetic? Yeah, well, yeah. Like I love that there are black people arguing that he's the first black president. There are gay people arguing that he's the first gay president.
Well, Bill Clinton is supposedly in the Black Hall of Fame. I don't know if that's actually true, but
I think it's a saxophone Hall of Fame, but
saxophone Hall of Fame. He is in the Sexual Harassment Hall of Fame.
Oh, dude. Oh, no. I was like, if he really...
I think he's in the Black... Yes, look at that. He's in the Black Hall of Fame. Bill Clinton. So, yeah, in the
That's
Arkansas Black Hall of Fame, which is not a great chapter.
No,
but
that's the most prestigious Black Hall of Fame.
Is it the Arkansas Black Hall of Fame chapter? Yeah, that's a good one to rush.
Yep.
Yeah, he is. So he's a member of the Black Hall of Fame. But yeah, Biden tried. Biden tried to play that card, and times have changed, and he's still telling that story about the girls.
You got to do more than sniff.
That's the best part about Biden is that they were like, you got to stop smelling people, and he was like, no.
Yeah, that's the only time I considered voting for him. Is his stance on that issue?
I
will continue to smell children. Okay, he's consistent. He's got a
Biden
spine.
Harris 2021. Smell the children, lock up the coloreds. It's a consistent platform. I'll give him that.
Well, we've
I
talked
will
about,
continue to sniff. I will continue to jail. Vote for me as long as it gets rid of Trump.
Yeah.
there was a British columnist who wrote an article saying even if Joe Biden, even if they could show that he had eaten babies, I would still vote for him because Donald Trump is that evil. Mm-hmm. Which is a weird coincidence because he has eaten a lot of babies. But she just said hypothetically. Hypothetically.
If he did.
If he's eaten
yet
babies,
another baby.
I would still vote for him because Donald Trump is that bad. And that's the morality, I think, is people go, it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter if...
there's got to be more context to that. Is there more context to that?
Oh, you can look that up. You can look that up. There's an article that says, even if he's eaten babies, I'm still voting for him.
Well...
And that's mainstream leftist... I mean, to me, that's hiding in plain sight because they're going, look, he may have eaten human flesh. We're still voting for him, guys. Come on.
So, hold on. Because we just met, but, like, explain to me...
Boiled babies, excuse me. I mean, but why boil if you're not going to eat them?
Well, I guess...
Yeah, boiled babies and ate them. Yeah.
To disinfect them is
Wow.
why.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to just eat any baby.
Gotta, like, feed them apples and stuff first so that you know that you can eat their intestines and whatnot. The
There you
same way
go.
that you do that
Yeah,
with
so she's saying this to downplay the Tara
cockroaches.
Reid allegations. She's saying, I don't care what Tara Reid says.
Look-
Even if he ate a baby, I'm still voting for him.
If he raped, that's nothing to me. But this is, like, where there's no... But anyway... So,
Normally, you'd expect a Republican to say some shit
What-
like that.
Yeah.
That's ballsy.
Yeah.
I don't care if he ate a baby.
Tell me
I'm
about
voting for him.
like you getting quote unquote red pilled or whatever or
It's
however you define it.
it's a long story. And it's like a really long story. I don't know like how much you guys want to know.
We got time.
Do you understand sort of, I don't know, maybe the concept of victimhood and
Yeah.
how maybe one side or the other tends to have like all of the thrust of like everything that they believe having to do something with that?
Wait, explain that part of it.
Okay, so if you are on the left, you are basically someone that believes in oppressor versus oppressee. There's the oppressed and there's the oppressor. Mm-hmm. And that means that there's always a victim.
Yeah.
And that means that there's always some form of victimhood. There's some sort of injustice that constantly must be rectified, recognized, accounted for, atoned for. This kind
So
of thing.
it's like oppressor and oppress is like late industrial version. It's the late industrial adaptation of good versus evil.
Sure.
Is oppressor versus oppressed because like I think maybe capitalism could be like defined as an industrial. Or capitalism as we know it now is like an industrial version of economics. So then everything has to catch up and adapt and have its version of that of good and evil.
Yeah,
It's like
essentially.
an archetypal.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, that was your second Nietzsche reference.
I just somebody's been reading. So I was kidnapped for a really short time when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
What's a really short time?
Under 20 minutes.
Oh, that is a really short time.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like
And
season.
I don't know if that was
You gotta eat the mic.
I don't know. Oh, sorry. I don't know if that was like the core of my mentality. I just know that it probably affected me in some way. Obviously. I can tell you guys about that. I'm fine about it. It's not a big deal. But I think that like
How did it go so short like that? Did your parents immediately found you, or who found you?
Okay. I'll try and tell this story as fast as I can.
No, you don't have to be fast.
Well, okay. So my parents were out of town, and our family nanny or whatever, like the lady that we would have come babysit us, was home with my brother and my sister. And so I had a soccer game, and the girl I was friends with down the street, piece of shit, so is her mom, you'll know in a little bit, we were on the same soccer team. And so instead of Virginia having to take all of us over to the soccer game, the lady down the street, my friend's mom, took us to our soccer game. And she was running late, and she was really irritated and mad at us, even though we had nothing to do with like why we were so late to the game. And soccer was a big thing in their family, not so much for me. I just was like, oh, you're playing soccer? I'll play soccer too. So we got to the field, and you know how like sometimes you guys probably wouldn't know, 'cause, do you guys have kids? Any of you? Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, sometimes you go to a field and there's like 9 fields and it's like a checkerboard of nonsense, and like you park somewhere and you're like, fuck. And it's like way the fuck over there, like the field that you're supposed to be at, which was exactly the case in this situation. And as soon as we got out of the car, Delane, some stupid name like that, Delane.
Delaney?
No, just, it
Delane.
doesn't, just the mom's name. It doesn't matter. I really am tempted to just like call her out because like, oh, this woman. So we got out of the car and I was like, Mrs. Blank and Blank, I really have to go to the bathroom. And she was like, oh, Jodee, really? Now? Seriously?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sorry, I have to go to the bathroom, and this fucking dude on the side of the road, like so scraggly looking, was like, I'm going over to that field over there too. I'm going to go up to that 7-Eleven up there. I can take her to the bathroom and then I'll take him over to the field. And I went, and this fucking woman was like, oh, thank you so much. Would you?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That happened. And I was like, and I think I don't know, children sort of innately understand that something fucking evil and fucked up is going on, right?
Yeah.
And he had a powder blue truck, and I got into his truck, and the whole time I was in his truck, from like the 2 blocks it took to go up to the 7-Eleven, he kept trying to touch my leg to calm me down. And I was shoving myself up against the door. And it was awful. And I got to sort of a frenzy where something snapped in my head that was like, you have to get out now or you're going to die. And even as like a 6-year-old, I understood that was very much a true thing. And he stopped at a stoplight, and I got out of the car and I ran in front of the car and I ran across the street to the 7-Eleven that was on the left-hand side, and almost got hit by a car as I was running across. And I ran into the bathroom of that 7-Eleven and slammed the door, locked the door, sat in a corner, and just was doing this.
Yeah, the classic rock.
Yeah. And I hadn't considered at the time, maybe I misunderstood, maybe I misinterpreted, maybe he was just trying to be a nice guy or whatever.
Yeah.
But then, a little bit, like maybe a minute later, I just heard this like, hey. And then I heard, muffled voice of like the 7-Eleven clerk in the background going like, And I heard creeper pedophile going, no, it's fine. She's my daughter.
Yeah.
She's just a little sick right now. Can you open the door?
So who came and got you out of the bathroom? Your mom or the mom that was
So
taking care of you?
I don't like that. This whole part is really blurry. I just remember that at one point someone opened the door, and I remember that I ran up and I slammed it shut and I locked it again. I don't know if it only happened once, but it definitely happened at least once. And then, the only memory that I have is that like there was a huge group of people outside of the door when they finally opened the door and just like saw me, rocking back and forth, that there was a really nice mom that was like, I'm going over to this field. Is that the field you're on, honey? Because it looks like you're on team blah, blah, blah for Riverside, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, okay, let me take you. And there was a bunch of kids. And then we all went, and it was like nothing happened in the interim. It was crazy. It was so fucking crazy. So, long story short, I think that a victim mentality is something that is deeply embedded into your psyche when you are young. And
So are you to this day convinced now, and I don't want to dispute the validity of that voice you heard that told you will die if you don't get out of the car. Mm-hmm. I believe that's real. But do you to this day believe that guy had malicious intent?
I do.
It was just a feeling that you had that he was going to do something?
It was like, because have you ever...
I mean, why would a guy volunteer like that? That's
Well, even if you
weird.
volunteer, it should be like
the fact that he said that I was his daughter,
right
on the other side of the door.
Well, he's
like,
trying to diffuse the awkwardness of trying to get a girl that he doesn't know. He's trying to tell the people what's happening.
But still, because
I do think it's weird that he would say that's my daughter. On the other hand, let's just for devil's advocate, pretend that guy was just trying to take you to the bathroom, and then this happens, and you run out of his car, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And then he goes over to the 7-Eleven, and you've locked yourself in there, and so is he now trying to get you out?
I suppose all of that is and that's a good point. And so when the mom in her caravan with like the 9 other kids that were with us, I think that like everybody was very legally seatbelted, but we went over to the field. I got thrown into the middle of the game, and Delane was like, "Where were you, Jodee?" And I was just like,
Fucking Delane.
Like with the.
But then, like, but I remembered literally like looking around the field, like looking for a powder blue truck. Like maybe I got it wrong. Maybe he does have a son here.
I
don't know where. And I remember like the ball hit me at some point because I was like, "Is that real? Was it real?"
I would never volunteer to like take somebody's kid anywhere.
But it sounds like your inner voice served you well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your inner voice served you well, and then you didn't. All the suffering you underwent was mental.
Of course.
And then you resumed your life, and this has informed your feeling about victimhood.
Well, it's now it has informed my feeling about victimhood just because I've been through therapy and stuff. But it's like what I'm saying is that like when you are taught at a very young age that you are a victim, that has massive implications throughout the rest of your life.
Okay, so what about that? So in the aftermath of this, what were people telling you?
No one told me anything. It was just
it was
very like internalized and very much like, and so that might explain like why I ended up in like bad abusive relationships, is because like you just are like
once you identify as a victim, then you put yourself in situations that'll reify how you feel.
Sure.
Right?
I mean, like you learn certain things. Like one, hopefully everybody's good enough. I don't have to, change anything because there's nothing I can do to change it. There's nothing that I can do to get away from it.
It seems to me the lesson from that should have been, I have a very robust intuition that protects me.
That is exactly what it should have been. That's just
Right.
not the way that it goes, especially
So the way
with a
that
child.
it goes, because you feel there's something wrong with me because this happened.
Yeah, I think that's usually the way that, because I mean, when I told my parents about it when they got back into town, I didn't have a good articulate way of explaining it to them, and so they didn't understand what I was saying, and they thought that maybe I was telling them a story of somebody else or some
Really?
fantasy or something. And so it was like, so after that happened, and then after I told my parents, and after they were just kind of like, oh, and I was like, did I imagine all of that? And like, no, I didn't. But
So it was people not acknowledging your experience in getting taken away.
well, I mean, it's a combination of the fact that it happened, the fact that like, adults are supposed to protect children. This
Guy was
this-
probably not
this
protecting
this
you.
friend, my friend's mother was supposed
Right.
to have been protecting me. That was
Yeah,
her
she didn't give a shit.
charge.
Thank God. Yeah, take her to the
take her,
bathroom.
God.
Absolutely.
God damn
Soccer's
it.
more important. Yeah.
God
I don't know what's
damn it,
gonna
I
happen
need
if-
another Adderall if I'm gonna do more of this.
I don't know what's going to happen if this soccer game doesn't go off without a hitch. We got to really.
Oh,
Yeah.
you have to
Listen.
pee, Jodee? God damn it.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. And so it's like, you sort of like flatulate. Is that the way to say it?
Because she
'Cause
was
it
angry.
No,
sounds like-
flagellate. Flatulate. is a
Flagellate.
different-
I was gonna say like it sounds like I'm just like constantly farting on myself.
Oh yeah.
And
oh no, you're
but
right.
that
then
would
my
that,
bad.
that would be a form
flatulence
of
is
torture.
self-flatulence.
Yeah.
It's hard to flatulate for somebody else.
So how did?
Let me.
Do something
You seem
quickly.
kind of gaseous. Can I? Let me take this burden from you. I'll fart for you from now on. You don't need to fart. That's like human centipede shit.
That was funny as shit when he got pulled off stage. We didn't get pulled off stage, but Alan
When I
was
resigned.
Alan was defending himself, and he goes, he was like, "This is art," and the guy who was kicking him out said, "It's not art, it's fart," which I don't know what the fuck he meant by that, but it was.
you
Please
don't
tell
know
me
what
that
he
you
meant by that?
farted
Shit to
after
me.
he said that.
He did say it's not art, it's fart.
No,
And
but
I
please
said,
tell me
no,
that
keep
you
going.
farted at him after he said that, because that would have been art. Fart
Yeah,
art.
I wish I could have. I wish I could fart on command. I honestly do. I think that'd be a useful skill. Get you out of certain social situations. And if they ask you something that you don't want to answer the question, you just fart. They go, "What the fuck?" And you just walk away.
Yeah.
Victim mentality is an acquired personality trait in which a person tends to recognize or consider themselves a victim of the negative actions of others and to behave as if this were the case.
So did your parents never
So-
really understand the story?
No, well, they do now.
They
They
do
do
now.
now, and that's a longer story. But like, I mean,
didn't for a
I'm
while.
glad you pulled that up, because this is essential to basically what I'm saying. You asked me, the original question was, how did I get red pilled? And
Right.
the question or the answer comes down to this. My husband, because it's the thing about victim mentality is that 100% of the time, anyone that has it has been legitimately a victim. And it wasn't just that happened in my childhood. It was also domestic abuse that I suffered later on. So it was like, it's not invalid. Like, you have a victim mentality because
you've
you
been
have been
victimized,
victimized. But anytime we'd get in a fight, he would say things like, as gentle as he could, he'd say, I've basically done like a level 4 infraction, but because of the way that you're wired, you perceive it as like a level 11 infraction.
This is you fighting with your husband? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd be like, what? No! But it, like, you have to step back quite a bit in order to understand the
Now, what's a
validity
level
of something
4
like that.
infraction? That's like not doing the dishes, or
No, I mean, he definitely did some level 11 shit.
Well,
but
Who doesn't?
listen, occasionally it's a turn on, but
the point
the
is
point
that
is-
like you perceive infractions against you as way higher than the actual like offense level that they should be considered as because of the way that you perceive it.
But this is to me what's tragic about this, which I don't think is it's only tragic in the part where you're learning about it. But it's that instance shows me that you are a very strong personality who acts on her intuition and who is very stable based on your emotional understanding of the world.
Yeah, I mean, and I would...
So all those are positive attributes that, like, in a child, you'd go, wow, that was very mature. That was...
not mature, just... I see
grounded.
I see what you're saying. I mean, not even that, but I see what you're saying, and the point is that there is there just vast statistical studies about predators and the kinds of children that they look for. And I was not the kind of child that you would...
Okay, well...
Well, no, seriously. Like, when you are a predator, you're going to be looking for children that are sort of... Yeah.
Who am I going to be looking for?
Get a pen.
I'm getting ready.
Hold on.
What does a statistician say I like?
When you're like a legit predator, it's not even something that you are doing a checklist for. You look for children that are sort of downtrodden. You look for children that are sort of,
To pee.
lonely. But that's the thing.
I heard the story. I understand how it works. Oh, you gotta pee? You like candy?
But that's the thing, though. That's the thing that made me unique, I think, in the sense that I was wrapped up in a fucking bow. I had, he had consent to put me in his car. She was walking away. She didn't give a fuck.
Right.
And he could have driven away into the sunset.
I know.
All of it is could have, but still, like, I was not zeroed in on as like prey. I just happened to be like a perfect. I mean, if I was a pedophile, I'd be like, woohoo!
That's what I'm saying about you. Is you rejected the prey role.
Yeah.
You said, I am not prey. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So you are you realize at a young age, I'm autonomous. I can control this situation.
But also...
I can listen to my inner voice. All those are positive.
But also this...
evidence of strong...
But also that the
strong
adults...
intellect.
That the adults around you may be dangerously naive in terms of how...
Yeah, so you realize
the people that are in the...
What's her name?
Structures of control.
Delon.
You realize that Delane is stupid.
Delon.
So you lost
Even
your
a
innocence.
dumber name, Delon.
Delon.
Gross.
Okay. Well, Delon should not be in charge of any children, but that's all. That was your loss of innocence, is you realized how stupid Delon was. And that was
that's disconcerting, do you know what I mean? Like, to be like, oh, not even the people that are supposed to take care of me, like they're too dumb to kind of take care of me.
But that's coming of age, when you realize, oh, the parents don't know anything.
Yeah, it's like you
They don't
have
know
this.
anything.
You
They're
have
just
this,
trying to get along.
Nobody knows better than I do.
Right.
Maybe I should trust myself.
Yeah. Exactly, and you did.
And I did.
See, to me,
but
I don't know. You went through therapy and whatnot, but that's all strong qualities. That to me, that's ironic that those strong qualities get perverted into a sense of I'm a victim.
Right? Yeah. Very interesting and astute observation.
Because you are, I've always seen you as autonomous, strongly individualistic, trust yourself type of person.
What makes you say that?
I don't know.
I always have a mob of supporters behind me.
So
not anymore.
So how does this?
You're losing them now. Now you got to go on your own.
What? Am I?
Yeah, probably
Not
intentionally.
noticed that.
So how does this plug into being red pilled? Like,
so how it plugs into it is this. I wrote like a long essay about it. Basically, just my I started working for my dad, who is in the House of Representatives at the state capitol.
Wait, what side?
So sorry, my dad
is
is
John Podesta.
My dad, John Podesta.
my dad is a House representative, and
for what is he a Republican?
He's a Republican.
Okay,
and he's always been a Republican, and that's the great thing that I'm not even a Republican at this point. I just have to say, just like side bit.
No, you got to say
what I
no,
really
anytime the word Republican
I literally have to say
what
that.
I really love.
I'm also not a Republican.
No, listen. What I really love about the Republicans that I know is that they have never shoved anything down my throat. And I know a lot of Republicans, they have never told me that I was wrong. They have never ex-friended me. They've never exiled me. They have never like shit all over my character because I happen to, you know, have different beliefs. And I always did.
I think it's a cultural shift because in the 80s, I think if you were anti-Christian, you may have been shoved out by Republicans.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's true.
It's a cultural shift. So right now, now, if you're against
and Republicans are loving like all of like the diversity that's like, you know, been red pilled. They're like, we want all of you.
I know
Thank you.
somehow the right is more tolerant.
They
right
do
now.
well. They because they like it, this is not to like cheapen that, but they do gain some sort of like social capital with every Dinesh D'Souza or Thomas Sowell that they have on their team because you know that.
But
they
not,
can point to them.
It's not even just like their ethnicity or their background. I think that like, you know, Soul or you know, Dinesh,
Candace Owens
like
or
whatever.
Yeah.
They have points. They have good points. They have like.
I don't know if Dinesh D'Souza does, but Thomas Sowell has a lot of great points.
Come on.
I don't know.
Dinesh
has great
logical.
points. I don't, and see, I got in a fight with my cousin about this recently, where I'm like, I don't see what your beef is with him, other than like he makes really good points that make you uncomfortable.
I think that's true.
I think
but those points are calculated to make you uncomfortable in a certain way. Like when he says Kamala Harris's ancestors were prolific slave traders in Jamaica, or whatever he said recently.
I mean, they were.
That's true, and it is calculated to make you upset.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a certain morality
and good on him,
political morality,
he is doing his job well.
Yeah, so it's trying to trigger people a little bit.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I don't really have like a problem with Dinesh D'Souza, but like he strikes me as more of a propagandist, where Thomas Sowell doesn't. Thomas Sowell.
Yeah,
doesn't
Sowell
seem
didn't
like
give a shit.
He doesn't seem like he gives a shit either way. He's just like, I'm doing
probably on the
photography.
spectrum and just like a really brilliant economist.
Probably on the spectrum.
Thomas Sowell?
Yeah.
He's too smart to be non-autistic.
To be neurotypical? No.
Neurotypical.
Are you Googling Thomas Sowell autism? Is that what you're doing right now?
Please.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
You gotta stay on top of these things. No, I love Thomas Sowell. I think he's great. And I don't read economics. Like his like social commentary to me is.
Oh, he's an anti-vaxxer.
I mean, okay, I have a lot to say about that.
You do? Okay.
No.
Well, let's get into that.
Let's pretend I didn't say that.
All right.
I just need more water.
Oh, for sure. Get whatever you want.
Yeah. Make yourself at home.
These look very strangely microphallic.
Microphallus. That's really interesting. I've never heard that before.
Because she's off my roommate's silicone
cooking gloves.
Cooking gloves.
They appear microphalic. No, that's weirdly perceptive.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of that.
Well, that'll take months for us to hash that out.
And this looks like little phallus, and this looks little where the balls are.
Well, you need to stop seeing.
Change my mind.
I'm not going to change your mind, but it is odd that you walk through the world looking for micropenises. You walk into a kitchen, you go, "This looks awfully like a micropenis."
Called being
Everybody walks through the world looking for micropenises.
Is that real?
Alan.
Everyone looks for that?
Probably.
All right. I've never seen one in the wild.
A micropenis?
I mean, I don't know why you would. They're very easily camouflaged. They're so micro.
I would be like, "Is that a bush? Oh, that's a man." Look at that little thing poking through the bush. Look at that little villager.
Not until it latches onto your face and starts raping your eye socket.
Okay, well. Do you have another story to share? Because you did not say anything about a micropenis in your...
Okay, so were you always like... Did you have like a period of time where you were rebellious against Republican Daddy?
Oh, not against my dad. Just, actually, my mom was always much more outspoken and much crazier and much more offended with things. And
is your mom right or left?
oh, far right.
Like a Nazi? Is your mom a Nazi?
I hate saying far right because you can't say far right. Like she's very Republican, and she's not far right. She's not alt right. She's not Nazi. She's not white national. Like she's just fucking Republican. But when I say far right, like.
Right,
Has
no,
a very
it
has a very different like meaning
like
nowadays. Like
buzzword.
just like she's very very Republican, and she grew up in poverty, and she grew up, and she's a doctor now.
This is what's ironic to me about like identity politics is your family heritage, your family, their values.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to identify. You're not allowed to identify with. You're not supposed to even talk about. And yet we're told identity is all there is.
Right.
Identity is the most important thing, but yet your family, you have to be ashamed of who they are.
Right.
And they didn't do anything wrong. They
Right.
just literally align with an ideology that's unpopular in the media.
Yeah.
But that's
And
what,
you're not,
like,
and you're supposed to be like, I'm not like them.
Well,
Your own family.
My mom
Your
does-
own family.
my mom doesn't have a great way of like debating on Facebook, so I just
Nobody does.
No, you
Facebook is
either
all-
debate poorly on Facebook or you stop debating on Facebook. That's the only options that you have.
I don't
Because
think
there's no
that's
way.
true.
Like I remember very clearly the last time that I got into an argument on Facebook, and immediately, I was just telling a girl that like her views on masculinity were like bizarre, and I was like, you're probably not being as like compassionate as you think you're being. And then her boyfriend got on and made several fedora jokes to me, and I'm like, which is fucking hack. And that was what was so fucking
do not
annoying.
bring up fedoras around here.
Well, it's just like it's the buzzing of other people's words because they're unoriginal, and that was the point that I got to was I was like, I'm arguing with unoriginal, NPCs basically, and why am I doing that? Like they don't give a fuck about like what a good faith argument or
Let me tell you
whatever.
the last
They're
thing
just,
I posted on Facebook. During the George Floyd riots, about day 3, I post, today, 1,100 brown people were killed in Syria, Afghanistan, Libya, Somalia, and Egypt. And they were unarmed, and nobody's protesting because the news didn't tell them to. And I thought that was a joke or something.
you piece of shit.
I was-
You
I didn't
valorize our
unimaginable
enemies.
white privileged
That we're
ginger
technically not at
piece
war with.
of human
And
garbage.
Exactly. This is what comes. And the hashtag should have been Brown Lives Don't Matter, but I hadn't thought of that yet.
Oh my god.
But that was the point I was making was you guys will go riot over anything the news tells you to, and you'll be ignorant about any other happening in the world. And even I brought it up, and literally all the posts were, so you don't care about black people, Alan? And intelligent people telling me I don't care about black people. And I'm going, no. I was trying to, for a second, make you think about the other issues in the world that because of your CNN blinders, you don't look at. And I realized, what am I doing? I am trying to be provocative.
The reason
they don't care about that. They don't care.
The reason that they hate foreign policy, like you never bring up foreign policy to anybody, like any centrists or whatever, or left, like to the far left, you can bring up foreign policy and they're pretty
left.
responsive. But like centrist left.
Yeah.
The reason that they can't bring it, and the same with center right, the reason that you can't talk to them about it is that our atrocious foreign policy is the apotheosis of their shitty political theory. Like that's what it is. They if they were to confront how bad our foreign policy is, they would have to confront like the root of their politics, which is like nightmarish. Like they're very into the idea of forcing democracy on people.
Yeah.
You say this. I don't think people actually think that way. I don't think, like, when I talk to my mom,
they don't think at all.
When I talk to my family, I don't. Yeah, exactly. So they're not complicit.
But if you press them on it, they will. I think if you press them on it, they're willing to be complicit. They're willing to go. They're willing to defend our shitty foreign policy as long as that means that they can look good and we can have like the Obama years where it's like everybody likes us now.
Hope, change, kill Arabs.
Hope, change, drone bomb Muslims. This is great, but that worked for them and they liked it. They were fun. They liked that, and if you push them on it, they'll admit that.
What's weird to me, though, is that when it switches, like, do you remember the Bush years? In the Bush years, Bush was conducting illegal wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and all of his foreign policy was genocidal, immoral, whatever. And we were willing to talk about all that stuff. But then when a leftist does it, it's we just can't talk about it.
No.
We don't talk about it.
Shh.
And if Trump actually scales back in Afghanistan or something, that's not even no one cares about that.
Okay, so I'll just finish answering your question because I have to get out of here sooner rather than later. But so I started working for my dad, and then I went to a refugee conference that was happening at the Capitol when the world was still somewhat normal.
Yeah,
and
the halcyon days.
And the reason I did so is because my greatest hero, my greatest, like, I admire her more than anyone on the face of the planet.
Gloria Steinem.
CIA agent Gloria Steinem.
Have you heard of Ayaan Hirsi Ali?
No, I don't know her.
She's
that name.
Somali-born. Yeah, please bring her up. She's Somali-born Dutch.
I am here.
She went
As-
so Ayaan
spell
Ayaan. There she
go.
is. Yeah.
Good job.
And a diplomat, and just like if you read all of her books and you understand sort of the massive arc of her journey from being like a Jew-hating, capitalist, America-hating person who had her fucking clit cut off when she was 10,
Right.
like, versus like where she is now. It's like, it is a very interesting story, and she like walks you through what happens when you're indoctrinated when you're young.
You know what?
She walks you through what happens when you're indoctrinated as a teenager. She walks you through what happens when, like, you know, she lied basically to get to the Netherlands and said that she was, you know, escaping political prosecution when in fact she was just trying to get out of having to marry a dude she didn't want to marry. And she is she's just, I cannot say enough good things about her. You should watch some of her debates online, and all of this that I said in this essay, in this post that I wrote, in addition to my follow-up about going and listening to what these refugees had to say about how the reason I went to this conference was because I loved her so I love her so much, and I love the idea of like finding Western civilization and understanding that it is good and it is for the betterment of humanity, because it is,
Right.
and
or at least it's better than fundamentalist Islam. In terms
well,
of,
I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. But essentially, I went to this conference and I could not believe the shit I would like. Just I wanted to hear stories of, like, you know, grit and fortitude and, like, you know, overcoming of adversity and, you know, something of that sense, and
Which you think you lack, but you don't. So
Well,
you play this game with yourself.
I mean, either way, but see, I'm like, and I'll get there because you're
You
not
had
wrong.
it- you had
You're-
it
You're
in
not
the
wrong.
first moment.
You're not wrong. But like, let me explain.
Okay.
I was just sort of taken aback by, and it wasn't like, you know, how dare you ungrateful immigrants, like coming in here and not being thankful for America. It was just,
like there are good enough, like there are enough things, like protections that exist in Western civilization.
Yeah.
Like I'm just assuming this is like what you're like. It's that to like disregard those like out of hand is like bizarre and kind of anti-humanitarian in a way.
Sure.
Or it can be.
Well,
like it has the capacity.
And here's just like a tidbit that I didn't get a chance to put into my like super long essay, but like one woman.
We will link to it.
What I think she was from Vietnam or Cambodia. It was somewhere in that region of the world, and she said that she was so disappointed in America because when she got here, she was appointed to a host family that was somewhere in the South. And this family was apparently like just a terrible, group of humans that were basically like taking their livelihood or their, I don't know how the system works with money, but she basically said that like they were taking like food out of their mouths and like they were starving. And she just kind of shit all over the South and like shit all over, Republicans and like people and I was just like, you're already like politicizing this. And I'm very deeply sorry for you that like you got mistreated by, your host families when you were here, but certainly they weren't your only host families, and they weren't. And it's like, can you say one nice thing about the people that took you in and about the people that weren't the first people that took you in that were terrible? Like, who like, I don't understand how you get out of a fucking like genocidal, mass murdering, child soldier, mass grave, like, how do you get out of that? And you get here, and then even when things don't go so great, and granted, like they didn't, like, how do you get out of that? How do you get here? And how do you still have time to sit there with your Louis Vuitton bag and shit all over the country that is letting you speak in front of these people?
I think it's because we give people positive feedback for
positive feedback
them.
loop. That's exactly what it is.
We give you something if you shit on your treatment, regardless if you're of the grand scheme of things, as you're talking about. You if you complain in the proper way, we give you a little cookie. Thank you. Thank you for complaining about the powers that be.
And it also helps our political party.
Yes.
Here's where we're getting, where it's starting, like, it might be getting worse, but I think it's getting funner. The eternal optimist. But, Richard Spencer endorsed Joe Biden. Like, that's interesting and fun. Like, there's still fun to be had in the political, do you know what I mean? In the political arena. And that's like the highest example I could think of is just
I think he did that just to be relevant, honestly.
No, of course he does. He only does things to be relevant. But and the only reason he is relevant is because left, like center left media props people like Richard Spencer up because they're like because they try to conflate like their whole like propaganda tactic is to conflate Richard Spencer, Dick Cheney, and your uncle. They're all the same person. It's the same guy. It doesn't matter what you think. Like
it might be.
Honestly,
that seems true.
And that's what's great. Like Richard Spencer, for how much of a douche and closeted gay man that he is. And how much of like a tactical retard I think he is. Even like if he wanted to do if he wants to create an ethno-state, it's like you're a really shitty representative of that. You're doing the disservice to your own. But just the fact that he's doing that is fun.
Who would be a good monarch for an ethno-state?
For an ethno-state?
Yeah.
Kanye.
There's no such thing as a good monarch.
See, I disagree with that. We'll talk about that on the next one. Well, I'll try to convert you to monarchism.
Yeah,
later.
he likes monarchy.
I don't like it.
Phone off for a second.
Well, I gotta go, man.
Do you really?
Yeah. How long does this usually go for?
About an hour or so. We're good. Do you have any thoughts before you take off? Give us your thoughts on the Spencer Biden endorsement.
I mean. I kind of posted it and shoved it in some people's faces, and I was like, "See?"
Yeah, sure.
Because one of the first friends to denounce me and tell me to go fuck myself and threaten my husband, said that he would knock my husband the fuck out.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got to take a brief segue. Do you get off on these people coming at you a little bit?
No.
You don't?
I
Not
really,
at all? It doesn't energize you ever?
No.
It takes energy from you when people come at you?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, good luck.
Yeah. No, I mean...
rough path ahead.
It's a rough road to hoe.
You should find a way to enjoy the idiots coming out of the woodwork and attacking you.
When I am sure about what I'm saying and I feel very confident with my position, I post it, I say what I mean, and then when it comes back at me, I get like a panic attack every time I get like a notification like someone has...
Okay, this is what I'm trying to say to you. Learn to love the panic attack.
I don't like it though.
Yeah,
It's
it's free cocaine. It's free cocaine. Who's talking to me? Yes, let's do this. Yeah, now, right now. Yeah. Type this shit.
Smash the keyboard and then
Come back at me. Come
snort
back at me,
it up,
bitch. Oh, this
snort it up.
person. Now. Yeah. It's all a drug trip.
No, it's like I get what you're saying.
Otherwise, don't
but
do it.
I mean,
Enjoy it or don't do it. Those are your options.
fair enough. Here's the thing.
You
I
should enjoy it.
okay. I no.
And
I'm
I
not-
feel that
I'm not gonna-
enjoying it, but you will not admit that you enjoy it.
Here's the way to enjoy it. The way to enjoy it is to tell people, like, listen, if you look, like, by the book, like, by what these people say, Biden's platform is incredibly consistent with Richard Spencer's values.
But that's what I
they're
said.
like they all
That's
are
what I
perfect.
said. And then
How do
he's
you-
like, "Fuck you!
It should have been
Fuck
Biden
you! I'm gonna
Spencer
knock
going-
you out and your husband. Fuck you, you piece of shit! How dare you tell me that Richard Spencer's on their team? Next
tell
time
me
you
the
tell a
truth."
Jew that it's Richard Spencer's on their team, and we're like, I don't know what to say other than he is.
They both like a bloated welfare system, and they both like locking.
They
brown
both
people in
believe
cages.
in
They
fucking
both are
big
into that.
government.
That's
They both believe in I mean, it's just fucking
match made
ridiculous.
in heaven, dude.
Okay.
The funniest
let's come
sitcom
full
of all
circle
time.
here because to malign Joe Biden because of Richard Spencer's endorsement is guilt by association, which is the same tactic being used against you.
No, I think you're kind of actually you're more indicting Spencer by associating him with Biden. Biden's done way worse shit.
No, you're fine.
Like Spencer didn't hold a candle to how much Biden's that fucking monster. All
That's
right.
true.
Fair.
He boiled
Fair.
babies.
All right. That's good.
If only.
If only he had boiled babies.
If only, yeah. We
All
can
right.
only hope.
Well, we'll let you get out of here. Do you have anything like you want to promote or just?
No, I'm pretty much not booked forever.
There's not a lot going on.
I might.
nobody's booked for
I
anything.
might be on a show in early September, but I cannot say right now, and I don't want to
Jinx it.
Well,
You're already getting in this mindset. You're being negative right now.
I just
Gonna be positive moving
No,
forward.
I'll explain to you after it's being filmed, so
Okay.
that you know what I'm talking about. But no, just damn it, what was the closing thing I was gonna say? I just am not a Trumper, even though that is what people tend to think that I am.
None of
right
us
now.
are.
Anyone with a spine gets accused occasionally.
Yeah.
But just for the record, none of us are going to vote for Trump.
I would vote for Kanye
No.
or Richard Spencer. I am not voting for
Biden Spencer 2020, guys. Let's make it happen. Let's get that fucking cop out of there. Let's get Richard Spencer plugged in.
Boiled babies for all. Boiled babies for all.
Boiling babies and starting an ethno state. That's
As
the
long as
platform.
they are white.
Kamala Kanye 2024.
Damn. That's all right. Perfect.
I'm on board.
Fantastic. All right.